So if you could only watch one game tonight, Jets, Giants, Redskins, Browns, Chargers, Cardinals, with the rookie quarterbacks on display. We'll start there with Peter King, who joins us. Pete, good morning. If you could only watch one of these games tonight, which one are you more interested in?
I guess I'd want to watch Kyler Murray's first NFL throws and what kind of offense Cliff Kingsbury has. I mean, that's going to be the most interesting thing in this entire training camp season. So he plays tonight. I would be watching that one.
Can he be a running quarterback? Should he be a running quarterback?
No. And they're not going to have him do that all the time. You can't do it in the NFL. He won't last. When I was at Ravens camp, Lamar Jackson was, I think the transformation of Lamar Jackson was underway. He would sprint to the line and he would stop a couple feet short of the line. And most snaps I saw, he was throwing the ball. He wouldn't continue running. That's what you want a quarterback to do. In the NFL, if you're running whatever Lamar did last year, 15 times a game, I don't know the number, but it's not a recipe for long-term success. You stay in the pocket, you can be like Breeze and Brady and play to your 40.
The situation with Washington with Dwayne Haskins, is this quarterback competition truly open?
I don't have any idea. I wasn't there, but I would assume that opening day Haskins is going to start. But I don't. I've been to 14 places. That's not one of them.
You visited Broncos, Jets, Ravens, Eagles, Panthers, Falcons, Buccaneers, Dolphins, Saints, Jags, Colts, Packers, Browns, Steelers.
That's true.
The best do that. The best the best morale was at what camp?
What a good question that is. I would say there wasn't better morale than at the Denver Broncos. They love Vic Fangio. They love his message. They love fundamentals. Von Miller loves them. I don't know if they're going to be that good, but they're really liking Vic Fangio right now.
Yeah, I'm always curious when we watch a game that we all of a sudden have this it'll be a preseason game, and all of a sudden we can read into it, like what kind of team they're going to be.
There's no way. I mean, I go to practice. Everybody says, hey, what'd you think? The other day I was at Browns camp. Hey, what'd you think of the Browns? How do I know? I mean, Odell Beckham made a great leaping catch in the end zone. What's surprising about that? I mean, so I can't really tell. None of us can tell. Training camp, there's a lot of mirages there, in my opinion.
The Antonio Brown story, for a guy who loves to talk and post things, we haven't heard much from him. A coach who likes to talk, haven't heard much. And an agent who represents Antonio Brown and Drew Rosenhaus loves to talk, and we haven't heard much about this. How serious is this situation, do you think, for Brown and the Raiders?
Dan, I only know what I read, and it just seems weird that the apparent frostbitten foot is going to heal overnight. But, I mean, I have not done a lot of research and or reporting on frostbite in the last 48 hours. So I don't know, but it's a little bit weird that when you go into one of those cryo chambers that apparently you don't follow the directions or instructions of your trainer or whoever put you in the cryo chamber. That's a weird story.
Yeah, I've done the cryotherapy a couple of times.
I have too. Yeah, I had socks on.
Yeah, well, they tell you dry off. You have these big, thick socks, and you have shoes that you wear in, and you wear gloves. I don't know how somebody could have allowed him to get in there without shoes or socks on.
Yeah, that'll be a good Hard Knocks episode.
If they talk about it, yes.
Yeah.
The Cowboys situation, who blinks first in all of this?
Ezekiel Elliott will play opening day. How can Jerry Jones allow him not to? I mean, he's the biggest piece of their offense without any question whatsoever. I can't imagine that Jerry Jones allows this season to start without his franchise 24-year-old running back.
Yeah, I'm there with you. Jerry desperately wants to win a Super Bowl, and I can't imagine he would jeopardize it, because this seems like maybe the best Cowboy team we've seen in a while. Would you?
I think it is
echo
too.
That?
Okay. Hey, Dan, Dan, guess what?
What?
This is hilarious. I got stopped for talking on a cell phone because I'm talking to you. So now I have to hang up. The cops come to the car. Sorry about that.
Do you want me to talk to the police officer? Oh, no.
He just hung up.
Oh, boy.
I thought he had a hot take on the Cowboys.
I thought he was getting breaking news.
Yeah, like he just got texted about feet or something, frostbite.
Like Ezekiel Elliott was going to be in camp.
Okay, who wants a piece of the bet? Does Peter King get a warning or get a ticket? New poll question. And does he drop what he does for a living in some fashion? Because he's a pretty famous guy, if you like the NFL.
That's why I wanted to say, let me talk to the police officer that I called you and you accidentally picked up the phone. I was going to try to help him out there.
It's by Peter, one of those speaker phones or something. Bluetooth.
Yeah, why didn't Peter have that?
What part of the is he lives in New York City now, I believe.
No,
so
he moved to Brooklyn.
To Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So I wonder where he was driving. I've been pulled over in Brooklyn for talking on a cell phone. They're not very kind.
No, I got pulled over years ago in New York on a and I was lost, and I was actually calling my wife, to get directions. And the guy just pointed at me and then pointed to the side of the road. And I pulled over, and he was not in the mood for anything. It was like license registrations. I said, yeah, I was just calling. He said, save it. Save it. I go, oh, okay, but I was just on the phone. I'm lost in here. Yeah, let's save it. Went back, came back, ticket. That's it. Ball game. Yes, Paul.
So the Peter King bet, I didn't know he lived in New York now. Peter probably has a Red Sox hat on or a Red Sox shirt, which isn't going to help him with the popo.
I'm going to say Pete gets popped here.
I say he gets off.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ticket.
Yes, yes, Fritzy.
Yeah, I see him getting written up.
Yeah, I agree. New York doesn't care really who you are.
Now, if he calls back, do we do a buy or sell segment with him? Buy or sell.
Oh, cell service.
Like CELL.
Or like jail cell.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Buy or sell.
You should be arrested.
The aforementioned Peter King joining us again. He had a little run-in with the law. He was on his phone. And, Peter, we have a bet whether you got a ticket or not. And let me see. I say you got a ticket. Seaton says he got a ticket. McLovin said he got a ticket. Paulie said no. Fritzy said no. Peter King, the answer is, did you get a ticket?
Of course I got a ticket. I said to the cop, I'm on with Dan Patrick. And he said, here's your ticket. Yeah. That was fun.
Well, why didn't you lie and say you were on?
As I said to Fritzy, it's a good thing I'm fabulously wealthy.
You should have said you were on with Mike and Mike or something like that. Or
Mike and Mike don't exist anymore.
Oh, that's
Come on,
true.
You're so square. You're square.
I am. Mike and Trey or Golick and Wingo. There, Golick and Wingo. That's it.
There it is. There it is.
Peter, I'm sorry.
Hey, but you know why this is good? This will give us a chance to go to talk about the camps I actually went to. I got off the phone and I said, didn't he see where I was?
I know. I started to think, wow, I asked all these questions at camps where he didn't even go, and I had all of those campsites right in front of me there. Nice. Okay, you went to see the Packers, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what was said about that practice scrimmage that they had with the Texans, and, LaFleur, the head coach, he says, hey, I loved it. And then Rodgers says, hey, it'd be nice if maybe we waited 12 or 13 more years before we did this again. I know I shouldn't read into something as silly as this, but is this potentially a big issue?
Well, I don't think it's a big issue, but understand this, Dan. Aaron Rodgers had never in his career practiced against another team. So how would he know what to expect? You got a bunch of guys on the Texans, some of whom are trying to make the team or trying to play for playing time. Bill O'Brien had made a big deal about this. You're going up against this great offense. And as I was watching this, I thought was really interesting. Look, and it's J.J. Watt because you figure he's always going to play even in training camp. He's going to play really hard. He was chasing Rodgers so hard that, and this, I didn't even know this until after we left, that they said he slightly tweaked his groin. And so they were practicing very, very hard. But again, look, I went to the Steelers yesterday, Dan. Those guys are beating the tar out of each other. So, I mean, maybe the Packers had just gotten used to over the years of not having much contact at all in training camp. I don't know that. But what they said surprised me. It didn't seem particularly violent to me.
I'm also curious with the Steelers. Did it sound different when you were there without?
Yeah, no question.
Okay.
And I asked Tomlin about it yesterday about, it's sort of a placid camp. A year ago it's the Le'Veon holdout, and there's always little skirmishes and brush fires with Antonio Brown. Tomlin has not taken the bait, but I can tell you, I've been around this team quite a bit over the years. This is a much happier team. The offensive line is exceedingly happy, compared to always sort of feeling that, their character was under fire, and Roethlisberger's character was under fire by Antonio Brown. It was just kind of a weird vibe. But I spent, I don't know, maybe 20, 25 minutes with Juju Smith-Schuster, and I can tell you they're going to say all the right things, but you just get the feeling like, and Dan, this is a crazy thing. I was telling one of my buddies who plays fantasy football, I said, if I were you in the last round, take Ryan Switzer. And they say, who's Ryan Switzer? Well, he's this short receiver from North Carolina, drafted by the Cowboys, went to Oakland last year, was traded to the Steelers. Roethlisberger and he have had an off season together, and I think he's going to take up a lot of the slack of Antonio Brown. He was all over that first team offense yesterday.
He's felon Peter King joining us on loan from NBC Sports. I'm also curious to watch the Giants with Daniel Jones. I don't know how much he plays. I guess he's going to play a little bit more than you would think. He's the backup quarterback, but that job's not open, right? Eli's going to be the starter.
No, it's not open. And Dan, I think he's going to play a lot in the preseason, because I don't think Eli's going to play much at all. I mean, quarterbacks all around the league, Goff, Garoppolo, and there's a lot of quarterbacks who won't play at all in the preseason. But the reason why he'll play a lot is because I think the Giants figure that he's probably not going to play much during the season. Now, I have not been to their camp, and I have not asked Pat Shurmur the question. So this is simply me looking at it from 10,000 feet. I don't know. But what I figure is, as long as they are competitive and Eli Manning is playing Eli Manning competitive football, they're not going to make a quarterback change. Now, if they're 1-6 in mid-October and Eli's leading the league in interceptions, well, here comes Daniel Jones. It's coming. It's just not going to come until the Giants are ready to do it.
What do you make of all the hype with the Cleveland Browns?
I think it's real. And it's spectacular. Okay. Dan, I think what was interesting the other day. Okay, so let me give you the scene at Browns camp. I'm standing in the end zone, and coming right at me is Odell Beckham, and he makes a circus catch, keeps both feet in bounds, and he comes down with the ball, and the crowd at training camp goes nuts. Everybody's excited. And everybody's, oh, my God, we're back. We're going to be great and everything. And, look, I think that there could come a point on December 1st, if they're all healthy and the two receivers, playing in tandem are Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr., David Njoku at tight end. And then if they're two backs rotating, sometimes playing at the same time, or Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, that is as good a skill position combination as any team has in football. So everything looks good. All looks great. I'll tell you the two things that I would wonder about. Number one, Odell Beckham's health. He's not been able to stay healthy the last 2 years, and he plays at a breakneck speed, and he's a little guy. So we'll see. He was fine his first 3 years. Last two, not so much. And then the other thing that I worry about is their offensive line. I just think it's right as of right now. It's run of the mill, and that's going to be a challenge because Baker Mayfield, in my opinion, you can't be hitting them all the time. So those are the two things. But again, it was funny. I talked to Mike Tomlin about this yesterday, and you would think, oh, my God, it was great when we had 2 automatic wins against Cleveland. He loves it for football. And I think that's the feeling that so many people have right now. Isn't it great that the Browns are finally going to be fun? They haven't been fun in forever.
I guess one of my questions is still Freddie Kitchens in that role, and does it overwhelm him? You got a lot of personalities. The expectation level is really high there, and it felt like his ascension was pretty quick from where he was to becoming the head coach.
Dan, here's the funny thing about Freddie Kitchens, okay? A year ago at this time, he was probably the lowest man on the assistant coach totem pole, kind of got hired by Todd Haley, who really knew him from Arizona, and just to be the running backs coach. And when he got the job as the play caller midway through the season, the guys like Jarvis Landry and Baker Mayfield fell in love with him because you would think that a former highly conservative quarterback at Alabama, which Freddie Kitchens was 25 years ago, you would think that he would be Gene Stallings or whatever, a real old-fashioned, old-time guy. But, Dan, there was a game last year where he played 3 running backs in tandem, 3 plays in a row. There were games last year where he used 13 personnel, 3 tight ends on the field, more than 10 times. Most plays teams don't have any tight ends, and I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He is a very imaginative guy, and the second thing is, a lot of first-year head coaches who are anonymous don't do what I would call the fifth quarter very well in dealing with all of the bull crap that a head coach has to deal with. For instance, I counted the other day, he spent over 2 hours. The Browns are famous now, and everybody is in. Adam Kilgore from the Washington Post was there. There's a bunch of out-of-town people, out-of-town media there. And all of these guys are there, and he spent 20 minutes. I spent close to a half hour with him. And so he is okay with doing that. And that right now is what the coach of the Cleveland Browns kind of has to do.
Yeah, the expectation levels are just through the roof, talking about them as a Super Bowl contender. And
it's almost like if they win 10 games and don't make the wild card, people in Cleveland will have a funeral. It'll be crushing for them.
Yeah, I think the expectation level way too high for that team. There's still some question marks, and I do think the offense has been most talked about for the obvious reasons. I think that defense is going to be an elite defense and might be a bigger reason why this team is a playoff team, or potentially even bigger than that.
I think adding Olivier Vernon, look, as much as I don't like subtracting Zeitler, sending him to the Giants for Olivier Vernon, essentially, I don't like that for the offense. I really like Olivier Vernon, who I think gives them the kind of bookend along with Myles Garrett that they've really been looking for.
Yep. Well, a lot of fun and preseason coming up tonight. Peter, thank you. Once again, if I can split the bill, I'd be more than happy to.
No, Dan, I'll tell you this. You know what you can do? You can buy me a fantastic cab the next time I'm in Milford, and we'll call it even. A nice glass of cab.
The next time I see you, I'll make sure that I get you a nice bottle of cab. I will do that.
I don't need a bottle. I'll just take a glass.
Just a glass.
You and I will have a drink together.
Thank you, Peter.
All right. Hey, take care, Dan.
That's Peter King. Now, felon. Got arrested.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.